Hello, I'm Michelle.
And I'm Laura, and this is the Pair Entrepreneurs Club podcast, a weekly show to help you navigate the demands of being a working parent.
We will share lots of practical ideas, hints and tips, and our own and others' experiences with juggling work, family, health and finances. Above all, we want to help you find your purpose, define your identity, and banish any confidence gremlins that might be holding you back from the life you dream of. No matter whether you have children or not, there will be something here for you. Let's get started. Hello, welcome to the Pair Entrepreneurs Club podcast. I'm your host, Laura, and I'm joined today by Emma Burgon-Kisby. Now, Emma and I have known each other a little while. Emma is an amazing sports therapist, and I'll let you introduce yourself and tell your story, Emma, because you've done some great work with Olympic athletes. So, yeah, if you just want to tell our listeners a bit about you, that'd be great.
Yeah, of course. Hi, my name's Emma. Like I said, I've known Laura a long time now. So I've been a sports and injury therapist ever since like my second year at uni. I set off my business just because I already was a mom and couldn't find a job that would suit me. So I had to create one. So since then, it's been quite a lot of juggling home and work life, education, and then obviously my business as well. Since then it's grown quite a lot, and then that's just sent me on a journey working with a lot of sports and a lot of athletes, and then has led me into more of the elite stuff that I'm doing now. And I've then started another business, which is all of my coaching side of things. So this is now starting to take me around the world, which is awesome, but obviously comes with its own stresses and strains. But yeah, so that's a little bit about now what I do. So I'm trying to still be the mum now to a teenager, juggle a busy clinic, and then also now juggling more of the elite sports performance from a coaching point of view.
Yeah, that's amazing, Emma. And I think, I'll touch back on that about how to handle a teenager as well. But, seeing your journey, I think for me, it's been really inspirational because I've kind of known you really grow your business and watch you do that. So I guess what were the kind of pivotal points? I know you said that you wanted to create more flexibility and create a job that worked, for you as a parent, but how did you manage that in the early stages?
So I suppose that mine was just a bit built on like just sticking two fingers up to the rest of the world. I found it really challenging. So I'm still not that old myself. So I did fall pregnant at 17, and I had my daughter Olivia at 18. And I was met with so many people just saying no, or you can't go to university here now. You can't have this part-time job, or we need you to work this many hours. And I just couldn't do it. So that was when I realized that if I want to create something for myself, no one's going to make it happen for me apart from me. So that's when I caught a little break by being able to rent out a small room somewhere and literally just start to spread the word of what I was doing. And I was just taking like £10 here, £20 there. But it's how it started, and that's what gave me a bit more confidence to go, yeah, do you know what, you've got this, and just keep building it. So that was the first real moment that I was like, okay, you have to make it work for yourself. And from there, because Olivia was so young, then I just coasted for a little while and kept on building and building and building. So my hours got more. She was in the nursery more, and then eventually at school with the after school hours and things. So that was quite well. And then I suppose the next pivotal one was making it work in a bigger clinic. So I realised that I was outgrowing the small room where I was above a hair and beauty place. I'm not sure if you ever came to that one, Laura, but it had like bumpy floor, it had a tanning bed in one side of the room. It was a little bit of a mess. And I realised I needed somewhere proper, and then I'd actually have to start making it work as a business. So that was, oh gosh, I'm trying to think what year that was in now. 2014. That was the second one. I was like, I need to make it work as a business and start to promote myself, actually having a website rather than this is this girl here and it's a mobile number, etc. So that was really good. And then I suppose the most life-changing one for me was the lockdown year. So the lockdown year for me, 2020, then obviously my business had to come to a halt. And it was the first time I really realised how many hours I was working. And that was mental, just to have all that free time spared up, and like then got to know Olivia even more because she obviously stuck at home with them. Um, and that was the moment that I realised that actually you can't just keep on going as a one-man band. You do have to try and get a little bit more work-life balance. And then I started to relook at how I can make a difference with my business. So that was number three, I suppose. And then number four came just purely coming out of lockdown, when I started to work with elite athletes who hadn't been able to have treatment for a while or to be able to travel to their usual places. Everything had to be kept in certain areas and certain locations. And then that started to really open the doorway for me to get into the elite sport, just purely by chance of somebody coming in with a hamstring injury at first and working with them. And then that's when it develops onto the other stuff. But yeah, so I would say the pivotal moments are nobody allowing me to have any chance. And then realizing that I needed to make it, proper. I needed to be more of a grown up and have a grown up business. And then the other one, realizing that there's so many hours in a day and you can't work them all and be in one at the same time.
Yeah, I think that's really insightful, and certainly I can relate to that, because it's hard when you're doing the juggle of parenting and feeling the guilt, and I have to say, you're one of the most knowledgeable people that I know in terms of like you tell me these muscle groups, and I'm like, oh, I've never even heard of that before. So, your experience and everything has obviously been generated over the years, but also finding that time to study and, to learn all those things. It is, I guess you get to a point where you do feel that burnout with it.
Mhm.
And how did you manage that, or did you literally get to lockdown and think, oh my goodness, how have I managed to do this?
I don't think I really realized it. But I realized that I was probably changing my personality a little bit. So who I was as a person. So I was getting a little bit snappy. I've always really been into training myself, and I'd stopped training because I didn't have the time anymore to train. But I don't think until lockdown forced the brakes on me, I actually realized or took that time to step back and reflect on what my last few years had been like. But I could definitely see, and actually I do, when I break my own rules now, I see that old me starting to come back, that a little bit more snappy, a little bit more off my training or off my food, and just feel, just a bit more wound and down. But it's not until those breaks were put on that I was able to have that reflection, which is quite interesting, how you don't really realize how much of a slippery slope you could potentially be on until it either something like that happens, or you would suffer from burnout.
Mm. The interesting thing for me with lockdown is it is exactly what you said. It forced people to have that thinking time. For me, doing the coaching was something where somebody asking me those questions to make me think. It's only when you go inside yourself and think, oh, hang on a minute, yeah, you just thrown a question that's completely thrown my perspective on things.
Mm.
To shift that mindset. Um, so I guess going from there, what would you say are the things that you now focus on to make sure you do to keep that same mindset and focus?
So I have reflective time. So Mondays I try and stay completely out of clinic, and try to be somewhere just for me, even if it's just somewhere to have a coffee and a cake or a steam and a sauna or whatever, just on my own, to really reflect on what I'm exactly doing, how my life's looking, and just really try and almost have like little separate sections in my head. I'm quite a visual person, and it's like, right, block of time with Olivia, block of full family time, block of me time, and then work time. And then my work time gets divided into what I need to do with work. So I very much look at it in sort of like four corners or quarters now. And that's really important. But I think that so self-reflection's been the big thing, but it's not self-reflection just being at home, like doing housework or just spending some time off. It's physically just going and having some pure thinking time without devices and scrolling and some bobs. I think that is really, really important.
Yeah, and we've shared this conversation as well about having that kind of 90 minutes of getting out of your business and just thinking, what are the 90 minutes that I can set, and do you do that on a daily basis where you say, that's my 90 minutes, this is where I'm going to work on business? Yeah.
So 90 minutes, and again, that is in that quarter as well, rather than my own time, family time, living time, etc. So spending 90 minutes on your business is really, really important. So you just sort of have that overview of how your business needs to look for you to have the life that you do want, rather than just work, and never going, I'm working hard, but I'm not actually working smart here. So those 90 minutes have really helped me. Like, I've got a team behind me now. And it really, really just helps refocus exactly why you're in the business in the first place, and where you are versus what you want to achieve, and seeing if they're realistic. But those 90 minutes do, like I said, come out of those work hours, but they're so important to have done. I mean, anything more than 90 minutes, you definitely tend to switch off from. But also, I tend to, on a Sunday, have 90 minutes where I do plan what my 90 minutes are going to look like from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So they are separated generally into like a couple of different focal points within the business. But there's no point in waiting till the Monday to go, what are my 90 minutes going to look like today? Because then already 15 minutes have gone. And then you've probably spent another 10 minutes looking at a blank screen before you go, okay, this is the content I think I want to write today. So it's just such a time saver, and it makes sure that you're progressing in the right direction. 90 minutes is definitely a good thing to incorporate.
Absolutely, yeah. And thanks for sharing that, 'cause I think that is a great tip to have that pre-planning as well. Otherwise, like you say, you have wasted the first 10 or 15 minutes of your 90 minutes just thinking about it. So the other thing I wanted to talk about is around that, because what you're saying to me, or what I'm hearing in that, is that visionary piece of saying, what is effectively my why of doing this? So, that bigger picture of why is it I'm running my business is not just about, profit or whatever that might be. It's your holistic goal of, actually, I want to spend more time with Olivia in your case, or, to be able to have that flexibility. And it's a real, like, all of my clients, I try and get them to visualize, if they can, what the future looks like, because it's only when we know that and we've got clarity on what it is we're doing and why we're doing it, that we can work backwards. So you said to me, I think just before Christmas, that you've got all of your holidays planned for this next year. So again, does that link to, that's now you've got a goal and a purpose, and that helps you to drive forward with that?
Yeah, massively. So it's quite a nice time, that Christmas New Year's period, because everybody seems to just quieten down and be on a whole. It's time you can spend more time with family. So it's a great way to just start to brainstorm exactly what you want out of life. So for us, like, because I had Olivia so young, I never really got the traveling thing. So there is a bit of a bug to travel. And so I think for us now, Olivia's getting to an age where she can appreciate some of the travel that we'd want to go on. It's really nice for us all to have that goal and that mission together. So, like, I want a few trips hiking here. Olivia would like to do this. And it's incorporating all of these in. And these are all little goals. And we go, okay, well, when can we fit this in? When can we do that? When can we do the other? And it's really, really nice to have that focal point. And then also, when stuff does get hard, you've got the memory there of, like, you're all sitting down and talking about it and seeing people's faces light up and get imaginative. And it's so nice to be able to see that coming through. But again, without the plan set there, or any going, right, we're going to pick this date, or we're going to pick this year, or for my 40th birthday, I want to do this. I know it's 8 years away, but so what? I want it big, and I really, really want to do it. And then it's about like almost reverse engineering what I need to do or be doing now to get that. And it's so good to have all of those plans and those strategies in place, and also commit to it, even if it's a block of time that you've not put a deposit down on yet. It works so well as just that reminder as to why you're doing business, because it is hard. But
Yeah.
yeah, just having so many plans in place and just going, yeah, do you know what? I deserve that and I'm going to do it. And yeah, it might take me 3, 4 years. It's not just about going, oh, I can't afford that holiday, or like me going to court and going, oh, I'd love to do this, but there's no way I can afford it. It's thinking about it, 8 years away. And planning it and getting it done in your 90 minutes and going, yeah, I can make it work.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think once I talk about what we focus on is how we feel, and if you're focused on that and you're excited about that journey, you make it happen. So it is about, as you said, book the holiday, kind of know that you're going to get there, and you'll find a way. Because if you start to have those doubts creep in and you don't do it, it just never happens. For me, one of my goals is always like with fitness, I need to have an end goal. So in October, I signed up for the Spartan race, the 21K. So I'm training for that now. So I probably need some help with that, Emma. But
Yeah, that's awesome.
it's just to be able to get me there, because otherwise I can get up in the morning and think I don't really feel like going for a run. I haven't got that need to do it. Yeah. So it's just having that other purpose of what am I doing it for?
Yeah, it absolutely drives you, doesn't it? It's really good. Yeah. I think that you need something like that to really focus on when times do get hard, or like even just a motivation to do what you should realistically do. And that there is an impact if you don't do it. There is that ramification.
Definitely. I want to ask you as well, just to bust a few myths in your industry, because
Mm,
we've spoken to depth about, and I don't want to bash the NHS, but there are a lot of times where people will go to physio, or they'll have, go to a chiropractor or whatever it is, and they're not necessarily getting the right help or treatment. And I've seen friends of mine, that have come to you and achieved phenomenal results. So what would your kind of, I suppose, tips be when people are in that situation? Just to kind of share an example, one of my friends came to you because he'd broken his tibia and fibula. I know you know who I'm talking about.
yes, yeah.
And he'd said, or his doctor had said, that he would probably walk with a limp for the rest of his life, and he's only in his 30s. So he was walking with, well, you can tell the story. He was walking very quickly after coming to you, and then went on to do
Yeah.
a 10K. So
Yeah, very much so. So he was scared because of what the doctor had said to him, and I said, "You ready to walk now?" He's like, "What? Really?" So he did. I mean, he put his hand on my shoulder, and we did a few walks, and then by the end of the session, he was trusting and walking fine. It's it's really, really difficult, and I think it's not just my sector. There's a lot of other sectors out there who are probably facing similar challenges. I definitely know they are in the nutrition world, and that's that everything's based on a lot of old data. They don't seem to have that continued professional development, which happens within mainstream services or services that are available on the NHS. So they don't seem to be renewing any learning. It's just very much in the door, out the door, in the door, out the door. You're not treated as as an individual at all. I mean, it's really, really hard to see, and it's also hard to get that message across to people that there is, just because you're being told something by a doctor, it doesn't mean that that's the right answer. And it is a challenge that we do face all the time. There's so much myth busting that we have to do. It's very rare in musculoskeletal cases that a GP will know what to do. And we have to just remember that a GP is just a GP. They're supposed to signpost. And then when you're getting signposted to a physiotherapist, now it tends to be online, so they don't know who you are. They don't have time. They have 20 minutes to ask, well, to ask or palpate or test. they don't know you, they don't know what fitness background you've come from, they don't know your fears, they don't know your lifestyles. And it's really, really challenging in that way because you're not getting a treatment that you need at all. And this is why there's so much more MSK issues and problems out there. And it leads to mental health issues, and will kind of lead to mental health issues, obesity. People are putting on weight because they don't want to move, or they're fearful of moving. It is really challenging when there is so much wrong information out there given. It's definitely something that grinds my gears a hell of a lot. And until somebody sort of knows about you, you can't seem to know where to tell people to come and find you, because you're called a sports therapist. So, I see so many hip replacements, knee replacements, and just, I've got a lady in at the minute, and she's like, my main aim after my knee, she goes for a knee replacement on Wednesday. And she's like, I just want to be in the allotment, in her allotment by the summer. And it's like, it's great because I can already work on her now. She'll have her up and work then on her scar and her mobility, and she'll absolutely be back in the summer doing that. Whereas as soon as she sees the physio in the NHS post knee surgery, they already know what shoot is going to be given. And it's really, really, really hard. But it's trying to tackle the industry, one step at a time.
Definitely. I mean, just another personal story is my mum, who came to you, because she'd been told she needed a knee replacement. And actually you were able to get her to do some exercises and be able to walk. And now she's delayed that knee replacement, which is phenomenal, because that was the only solution on the NHS. And it's actually not something that she wanted to go down, because that can have other side effects as well. So yeah, I think it's really important, and I'm a massive advocate of yours, because I understand it. But for a lot of people, they don't necessarily, they'll see physio or sports therapist or sports injury therapist and not really know the difference. Yeah. Do you find sorry, go on.
Yeah, I was just going to say it is hard, because with sports therapists and physiotherapists, like, there is some great physiotherapists out there. Unfortunately, even if they've got all the knowledge in the world, the NHS protocol doesn't even allow them to use their own knowledge. They have to do what they're supposed to do based on this specific reasoning. So you can have sometimes the most knowledgeable person in the room, but not allowed to use it.
Wow. Yeah, it's crazy world. But I think, we see this as well in terms of like people who are maybe on antidepressants, or they've got mental health issues, when actually what they've done is effectively give them a label. So it's kind of like, well, this is the only solution. You're clinically depressed. Here you go. Here's some tablets. Go away, because that's the medical way of dealing with things, which might work for a short period of time. But then, we know that from psychology, the neuron pathways, they get used to that. And then you go in that same 6 months later, you then have to change your tablets or whatever that might happen. So do you find as well that there's a lot of mindset comes into coaching, particularly when you're coaching people for your run coaching, or with the Paralympian that you're working with at the moment? Is there a lot of mindset that comes into that as well?
Yeah, it is. There is a lot of mindset. So in clinic, it seems to be a mindset of, they almost feel like they have to wait for permission to do certain things and to move. So the fear avoidance is huge. They're so scared, and it's about giving them that permission back. And that's a really interesting mindset to have. People are like, oh, but she's not told me I can walk over 10,000 steps yet. I best not do that. And it's really interesting to see how damaging that can be to somebody, that they feel like they have to be told exactly what to do and when. That's sort of the clinical mindset. With coaching itself, the mindset does come into play so much. But what you feel is that it's a roller coaster for them. So when they have a great run, they're on top of the world and the program's going right and everything's great. And then they'll have a bad run or maybe just feel something in their knee, and then it's the end of the world. And it's trying to really coach them as to, when say things are done in thirds, when we're training, and that can be training for anything really. It doesn't have to be just for sports related. And a third of the time it's meant to feel good, a third of the time it's meant to feel crap, and then the third of the time it's sort of meant to feel okay. And that's what I try and educate people, is that if you had your best run every single time, then one, my job's done. But two, you don't know what a crap run is or an okay run is. So you're not supposed to feel one way all the time. But it's that resilience to just keep on going. But mindset and achievement do come hugely hand in hand. With the Paralympian who I work with, then she's got a lot of history with trauma, and that is challenging, and I do know my capabilities with that. So I do mindset prep her ready for a race, but she also goes to see a professional, and we're looking at getting her another professional as well to deal with her mindset. And it's not just the training mindset of the race, it's about overall mindset towards certain fitness components and lifestyle components. And it's so important that previous traumas are dealt with in order so you can have a clean slate, and to probably challenge the mindset that she's got around certain things. And then the other top up bit is the performance. So mindset plays a massive role in everything. So whether it's your recovery levels, you're scared to do too much and make those positive changes you need because you've been told not to move because you've got bulging disc or whatever. And then the runners who are just recreational runners who are up and down here, there. And then you've got the ones who like come from a para sport, which they've probably felt, adversities, pain management as well, so which are a lot more complex, and you always have to separate it out a little bit more. But it's not just about the physical stuff, it absolutely is all about how you work with that person and do a lot of mindset with that person. But everyone's different, so you can't sort of say, oh, NLP works for everyone or CBT works for everyone or the tapping. You have to find what works with them.
Oh, 100%, yeah. And I think this is where, we can soon, it is knowing your boundaries, as a coach as well. And exactly as you said, it's like, where do you direct people? Because everyone's at a different place. So, when we look at resilience, if you can build resilience, you're kind of playing off a level playing ground, so if you're going from, say, you're at a 0, then coaching's great because it can help you become better and get to like a +5 or, +10, whatever you want it to be. But if you're not at that 0 level point and you're a -5, then actually, some of the things like CBT and therapy and things that you need to help you deal with that past trauma to get you to the kind of level ground. And I think, life has a way of throwing curveballs at you. And if you're not regularly resilient and practicing that, it can hit you so much harder than somebody who, is already at that higher level.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd say I've got quite a fixed mindset. So like every hour of my day is pretty much planned. And as you say, there is curveballs that come our way. And when there is, it's taken me a long time to work out what I should do in that moment. I used to get flappy and cry and just want to throw things, like proper spit all my toys out the pram. And it was learning strategies to deal with that resilience, and that there can be plan B, C's, D's, etc. But it's finding those quirks within yourself and knowing how to deal with you the best. So now I allow myself 5 minutes just to act however I want to, and then I'll take a breather, and then I like often do just some box breathing. For me, tends to work quite well. Still need my 5 minutes of drama, and then I'm all right. Breathe in, and then I'll strategize from there. But it's very much about knowing the right thing for you to do, or learning the right thing, not knowing, but learning the right thing for you to do in that moment, and just accepting it as well. because again, especially with my marathon runners who I work with, I've got a lady actually who I had a conversation with earlier today because her long run didn't go well at the weekend, so she had to just put it out halfway through. But that's because it's been half term and her daughter's very good at dance, so she's been traveling from Lincoln to London out of 3 days, and her nutrition's been off and her sleep's been off. And you go, well, hello.
Yeah.
This might be why. Oh, I hadn't really thought about that.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden she's calm and she knows that everything's not falling apart. She just probably needed some sleep or to reschedule, so she was running at a different time.
It's
yeah,
massive.
curveballs always come our way.
Yeah, but I think, like you said, it's your self-talk as well. So, I know sometimes, like this last week, it's been half term and, I've not eaten at the best that I should, not trained like I was doing, and I want to go out for a run today. I'm thinking I just need to be a little bit kind to myself because I am feeling a bit bloated and sluggish and just, I'm not going to get as far. So it's about having those moments of, yes, knowing when to push yourself and knowing when to just be a little bit kind to yourself. I mean, for me, the running aspect is something that I have to mentally lie to myself because I've always said to myself for years, I just don't like running, and now I've kind of changed that to say, actually, I really enjoy, say, a 2K run. So in my head, I'm just saying, I'm just going out for 2K. And then once I get to 2K, just another bit more, just another one, and break it down into smaller chunks. Because that's what works for me. So knowing yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
So I just want to ask you as well if you've got a book recommendation or a podcast or something that you recommend to our listeners, that's one of your go-to things.
So I do quite a lot of reading and podcast listening to. The one that I've just finished reading is the Never Split the Difference book by Chris Voss. He's appeared on quite a few things just recently. I don't know if you've heard of him before, but he's an FBI agent and he specializes in the power of negotiating, and it's very interesting. And I've used this now when trying to get a buy-in for my clients for some exercise, which has been really, really good. But see, again, I think it sort of plays into that mindset really of being able to communicate well with somebody and speak to them in a calm voice. He often mentions about his calm PJ voice. And it just brings the tone from being like all the way down so you can just communicate properly. And it's not about like how to win a negotiation, so to speak, but it's about that power to be able to communicate. So I do quite like the book, and it's got some really interesting stories in there.
Yeah, I love that. I think, that was one of the most influential things. And certainly when you look at NLP, it's about having to match someone and lead them to be calm. It's a great technique. I have listened to that on a podcast before on the audiobook, audiobook. And really enjoyed it. It's a while. So thanks for the reminder.
Yeah, no, it's all right.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Emma. There's so much in there that I'm sure our listeners will get lots of value from. Thanks once again for joining me today. It was really great to hear from you.
Thanks ever so much for inviting me. When you asked me to, I was quite excited. I've never done one of these before, so I'm hoping it's across all right. But thank you so much. I do really, really appreciate the thought. You thinking of me.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. Yeah, really good. Thanks again, Emma.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. We rely heavily on word of mouth, so if you found value in this episode, please hit subscribe and share it with family and friends. If you'd like to find out a bit more about us, you can find us on our Facebook group, Pair Entrepreneurs Club, or alternatively on Instagram, PairEntrepreneurs_club. We hope you have a great week and we look forward to talking to you next time.